Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1881 AN. Today's date is May 30th, 2019, and the title of the episode is Deep State Mainstream Media Continue to Knock the Economy. Big fail. Now, this is the time of year that most of us have a big old clear out. We get rid of all the stuff that's collected through the winter, hidden away in the back of a cupboard or a file cabinet. There might be a gold mine. Noble Gold can show you how to blow the financial dust off those files, revitalize the dead money, and catapult your retirement savings into orbit. Just for May, to celebrate Memorial Day, they are offering a solid silver Trump 2020 coin and a 10-ounce silver bar for anyone rolling over an IRA or cash deal over $20,000. Talk to the team over at Noble Gold today and call 877-646-5347. Protect your retirement by investing in a gold IRA. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the mainstream media, the central bank, they're going to continue their attacks on the economy because they know that Trump controls the narrative. He controls the economy. And at this point, there's nothing they can do. They can't counter these statistical numbers. They can't say, oh, unemployment is really not this, the stock market is really not this, because we know it's been manipulated. Because Trump then would just turn around and say, of course, I've been using the same calculations, the same thing that you've been doing for a very long time. Are you telling the American people that this has all been manipulated? So they can't hit the economy from that angle. So they're trying to make it seem like the economy is too strong and this is why it's going to fail. Well, guess what? That is going to be a big fail. It will not work. Trump and the Patriots, they completely control the economy here in the United States. And we're starting to see that other leaders, even though they're not elected into office, they're up and coming, some have already been elected into office, they are controlling their countries. The elite are having a very difficult time. Now, Nigel Farage, he is out there, and we know that he is pushing the Brexit. He's been pushing the Brexit since the beginning. Everyone else in Parliament is not. Yes, there might be a couple individuals within there that are truly trying to push Brexit. But the rest, they are not doing it. Nigel Farage tweeted out the following: I promise that if we do not leave the EU on October 31st, I will lead the Brexit Party into the next general election and sweep away parties that have dominated British politics for over 100 years. Take a listen to what he said here.
Last week, I've given them the biggest seismic shock that has been seen in modern British politics, and I'll make you this one promise. If we do not leave the European Union on October the 31st, I will lead the Brexit Party after that into the next general election, and we will sweep away parties that have dominated British politics for over 100 years.
We could be talking to the next Prime Minister of Great Britain, Nigel Farage. Thank you very much for joining us.
Now think about what he's saying here. He's going to drain the swamp. Isn't this what Trump is doing? Isn't this what other leaders around the world are going to do? Think about Italy. Think about Australia. Think about France with Le Pen coming into office. Think about Angela Merkel, who is stepping down. It is happening. And the economic structure is about to change, because when you change the government and you get rid of the swamp, amazing things happen. And when I say amazing, I mean these individuals, they are not corrupt, or they haven't been corrupted yet. And they will be able to say, you know something, this is not good for the people. We don't want to go along with this. And you have a completely different outlook on how everything is run. And I believe we are in that time frame where everything is about to change. And actually, this is the perfect time frame. Why? Because the central bank system, it is imploding on itself. And they are completely exposed. Even on the mainstream media, the deep state, the central bank, they're trying to make it seem like, well, it's the tariffs. Well, the economy's too strong. It is not going to work. And we'll be talking about that in just a minute. Now, when we look at the central bank system, we can see how bad it is. And it's really not that hard to figure out. We've been tracking this for a very long time. And the central bank system is really easy to figure out. Listen, you lower the interest rates, housing does better. You add stimulus, housing does even better. You pump up bubbles. You control the stock market. You have other central banks buying stocks. You pump it up. The economy looks great. Manipulate the unemployment numbers, and everyone thinks everything is fine. Then, if you raise the rates and you tighten and you taper off the stimulus, what happens? The housing market falls apart. If you don't pump up the stock market, if you don't have other central banks purchase, if they're not purchasing the stocks, what happens to the stock market? It completely falls apart. If you get rid of high-frequency trading, what happens to the stock market? Basically, if you allow the system to be an open free market, it falls apart. The central bank has been controlling the entire economic system to make us believe that this is normal. Now remember, we've been brainwashed for a very long time thinking that debt is good, more debt is even better, and being in debt is fantastic. That's not how it is. We're also been brainwashing to think that inflation is normal. Yes, under a central bank system, it is normal. But if you remove the central bank, you don't have inflation. Very interesting. Now, when we look at the central bank economy, we look at pending homes, we see that they have suffered the worst decline streak since the financial crisis. And it is not getting better because what has the central bank done? It has raised rates since Trump came into office. Yes, recently they've stopped raising rates. But remember, the economy is like a big ship. It just doesn't turn on a dime. It takes a little while for everything to move. And what we're seeing right now is what has been happening to the economy while the central bank has been tapering, cutting off stimulus, and raising rates. The housing market is declining. If we look at the pending homes in the Northeast, they fell by 1.8%. If we look at the Midwest, it's 1.3%. The South is down by 2.5%. The West is down by 1.8%. And what Trump needs to do at this point, which I do believe he's going to do very, very soon, he's going to push the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates. He's going to push the Federal Reserve to start stimulus. And look, all these economists, the mainstream media, the central bank, and all of them, they thought the first quarter of this year was going to be horrible because of everything that was happening. Guess what happened? Trump had the magic wand. GDP number was at 3.2%. Yes, they revised it recently down to 3.1%, but it's still above their expectations. They can't figure out how he's doing this. Well, they know how he's doing this, but they can't let everyone know because this is the same thing they've been doing for years. And it's really not that difficult to figure out. Now, Trump is out there and he's saying the United States, they are doing very well with the trade talks with China. And Beijing wants to make a deal. He said, China would love to make a deal with us. We had a deal and they broke the deal. I think if they had it to do it again, they wouldn't have done what they did. Trump said the tariffs on Chinese goods were prompting manufacturers in China to leave the country and locate into other nations. He also said that China is subsidizing products, so the United States taxpayers are paying for very little of it, noting that the tariffs had little impact on inflation. And he went on to say, I think we're doing very well with China. And I do believe that China, well, they're kind of cornered right now, and they're starting to realize that there's no other individual coming into the White House. They're going to have to deal with China. They tried all their maneuvers. They tried all their different tactics. But I think Trump has cornered them. They realize it. And I do believe they're going to make a deal. I kind of believe that they've made a deal already, but Trump is dragging this out. And they really don't want to announce anything as of yet. But we'll have to see how this all plays out. And I do believe there will be a deal. And I do believe that Trump right now is keeping this up to have the central bank system continually call out the tariffs as the problem. And we know that this isn't the problem because once the tariffs are removed, once there's a deal with China, the central bank system, the IMF, the ECB, the Fed, and the rest, they don't have any type of an excuse. How are they going to explain how the global economy is continually declining? It makes no sense. The only thing that does make sense is that their system, the debt levels, and what they've done for the many, many years, they're the ones who are responsible for destroying this economy. Now, like I said in the beginning, the mainstream media, the deep state, they're trying to make it seem like the economy is under stress. And this is out of Bloomberg. Their headline is, "The economy is booming, so is financial stress." And they're trying to make it seem like, well, this can't go on forever. This incredible economy, it's going to fall apart. Well, we know it's fake. And they're trying to make the case, and they're hoping that it completely implodes on itself. But again, Trump is in control. The Patriots are in control. And we're not going to see the entire system fall apart like we've seen in the past, because these were coordinated efforts to bring down the economy. It was planned by the central bank system, because once they have the economy come down, they are able to ask for more control. They can ask for stimulus. They can say, we want to lower the rates. And guess what? Congress will say, go ahead. And it'll seem like, well, they have to do this if they need to save the economy. These type of booms and busts, they are always planned so the central bank gets more and more control. Now, what's very interesting is that Powell now is doing the same thing as what Bernanke did in 2007. And remember when Bernanke was out there and he said, at this juncture, however, the impact on the broader economy and financial markets of the problems in the subprime market seems likely to be contained. Given the fundamental factors in place, that should support the demand for housing. We believe the effect of the troubles in the subprime sector on the broader housing market will likely be limited. And it was the worst financial crisis that we've seen. Well, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell is doing the same thing. Now, again, is this being done on purpose? And what he's saying now is that the debt levels, they are contained. And Jerome Powell said the following: to preview my conclusions, as of now, business debt does not present the kind of elevated risk to the stability of the financial system that would lead to broad harm to households and businesses should conditions deteriorate. In other words, the corporate debt is contained. Well, guess what? The government debt, the corporate debt, the worldwide debt, it is not contained. And he's going down the same track as Bernanke. Now, during this period of time, during the 2008 crisis, 2009 crisis, Bernanke was saying that there was going to be no recession. They're forecasting nothing. Everything is contained. Everything is fine. And then when everything fell apart, they blamed speculators. They blamed everyone else. Now, Powell is doing the same thing, but with debt. And I do believe this is another area where they're setting up the central bank to take the blame. And you can see that Trump, he tells the central bank, listen, we need to pause the rates. We can't raise them any longer. The Federal Reserve listens. Trump says maybe we need a little bit of stimulus. The central bank says, okay, we'll stop tightening and maybe we'll start stimulus. Of course, they're going to call it something different, but they're listening to what Trump says. Now, of course, they're independent. They're not really listening to him. Well, of course they are. And they're doing exactly what he wants. And he's going to put pressure on them to start the stimulus and lower rates. And that's going to come during the later part of this summer, moving into fall, going into 2020. And this has to be done because if it is not, the system will implode on itself. And I do believe everything that we're seeing right now is part of the plan to set up the central bank system to take the fall, to expose them to the world, saying they are responsible for the economic system coming down. And we're starting to see that countries will start to back this. Think about when the UK moves away from the EU. Think about Italy then. Think about France. Think about Greece. Think about Australia. Think about everyone that is looking at this and what they're going to do next, especially when Trump continually points the finger at the central bank system. And I do believe this is going to be a coordinated effort. I do believe that China, Russia, the United States, of course, Angela Merkel has lumped them all together. They are going to take out the central bank system. Think about it. If the United States, I know some people are saying it doesn't have gold. Spoke to Jim Willey, did an interview. He's saying the gold was found. If the United States does have this gold, think about how much gold China, Russia, and the United States have. Do you think they have enough here? And I mean, there's other countries, don't get me wrong. There's India, there's Switzerland, and many other countries. Do you think there's enough gold there to build confidence, to move away from the central bank system? I do believe so. Think about the manipulation. Think about what they've done to bring the precious metal prices down. Do I think this is going to be a coordinated effort? It has to be. This is the only way we can get rid of a global central bank system. And I think in the end, all these leaders are going to work to get rid of the central bank system, because the central bank is not good for Russia. The central bank is not good for China. The central bank is not good for any country, because in the end, they will control the country and they have no allegiance. They don't care about the countries. And this is why each country will join together to remove the central bank system. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.